The Empty Cup, The Art of Letting Go, a lesson in Zen. Once upon a time, there was a young man named Koji who was eager to learn about Zen enlightenment. He heard of a famous Zen master named Takashi who lived in a remote temple on the top of a mountain, and he decided to seek him out. After a long journey, Koji arrived at the temple. He was greeted by a bald-headed monk who asked his name and reason for coming. Koji introduced himself and said that he wanted to study with Takashi. The monk told him to wait there while he went to inform the master of his arrival. Koji felt excited and nervous at the time, wondering what kind of person was Takashi and what could he teach him. After a while, the monk returned and said that Takashi would see him now. Koji stood up and followed. The monk opened the door and gestured for Koji to enter. Koji saw Takashi sitting on a cushion in front of a low table with his eyes closed and hands folded on his lap. He wore a simple robe, had a serene expression on his face, so Koji bowed respectfully and said, "Good morning, Master. My name is Koji, and I've come to learn about Zen enlightenment." Takashi opened his eyes and looked at Koji with a kind of penetrating gaze. He said nothing for a while, but just stared at him. Koji felt a bit uneasy under his scrutiny, but he tried to remain calm and attentive. Finally, Takashi spoke. "Welcome, Koji. I am Takashi, the master of this temple. I hear that you are eager to learn about Zen enlightenment. Is that correct?" "Yes, Master," Koji said. "I've read many books on the subject and have even practiced meditation on my own, but I feel that I need a teacher who can guide me on the right path. I've come a long way to seek your guidance." Takashi smiled. "I see. Well, before we can begin your training, I would like to ask you a question. Are you able to answer with absolute truth?" Koji felt a bit surprised by the question, but he said, "Of course, Master. I will do my best to answer truthfully." Takashi nodded and asked, "What do you know about Zen enlightenment?" Koji said, "Well, Master, I know that Zen enlightenment is a state of awareness and clarity that transcend dualistic thinking and detachment. It's the realization of our true nature and the unity of all things. It's said to be attainable through meditation, mindfulness, and detachment from worldly desires." Takashi nodded as a sign of approval. "But let me ask you another question. How do you know all of that?" Koji felt a bit embarrassed by the question, as he realized that he had not really experienced Zen enlightenment himself, but had just read about it or heard about it. Nevertheless, he tried to defend himself. "Well, Master, I've studied many books on Zen and have attended some lectures and seminars. I have authored knowledge and information about Zen enlightenment, and I've also practiced meditation on my own. I believe that I have a good understanding of the theory and the techniques of Zen practice." Takashi nodded again, but this time his smile faded. "I see. So you think you know about Zen enlightenment because you have read books and attended lectures?" Koji felt a bit defensive now, as he sensed that Takashi was not impressed by his answers. "Well, Master, I've tried to apply the teachings in my own life, and I've made some progress. I've learned to control my thoughts and emotions and to be more present and mindful in every situation. I believe that I have some degree of enlightenment." Takashi shook his head. "No, Koji, you don't have enlightenment. You have just a cup full of opinions and knowledge, but no space for real understanding and wisdom. You think that you know everything already, but in fact, you know nothing." Koji felt a bit stunned by Takashi's words, which seemed harsh and discouraging. He'd not expected to be criticized so severely by his potential teacher. He felt a bit angry and frustrated now, as he thought that he'd wasted his time and energy on a futile quest. Takashi seemed to sense Koji's mood, and he decided to change the approach. He stood up and walked to a nearby cabinet where he took out a teapot and a cup. He filled the cup with hot tea and offered it to Koji. "Here, Koji. Have some tea. It's hot and fresh. Drink it slowly and savor the taste and the aroma." Koji felt a bit puzzled by Takashi's gesture as he not expected to be offered tea at this point. Nevertheless, he accepted the cup and took a sip. The tea was indeed hot and fresh with a delicate flavor and smell. He felt a bit relaxed and refreshed by the drink. Takashi observes Koji's reaction and smiled. He drank more tea and Takashi refilled his cup every time he finished. Koji felt a bit surprised by Takashi's generosity as he expected him to criticize him further or to lecture him about Zen. As Koji drank more tea, he noticed something strange happening. The cup seemed to fill up and overflow, but Takashi kept pouring tea as if he didn't notice or care. Koji felt a bit alarmed by the situation as he thought the tea would spill and stain the table and floor. He just tried to warn Takashi, but the master just smiled and said, "Don't worry, Koji. The cup is not full yet. Keep drinking, and you will see." Koji felt a bit puzzled by Takashi's words, but he kept drinking anyway. He felt a bit anxious and uncomfortable as the cup was really overflowing and the tea was spilling on his lap into the floor. Finally, Koji could not take it anymore and he shouted, "Stop, master! Stop pouring! The cup is full and the tea is spilling." Takashi stopped pouring and looked at Koji with a kind but firm gaze. "Good. You have learned an important lesson. The cup is a symbol of your mind and your heart. It's full of opinions and knowledge. There is no space for real understanding and wisdom. You must empty your cup, make room for new insights and experiences. Only then can you truly learn and grow." Koji felt a bit ashamed and embarrassed by his previous arrogance and ignorance. He realized he'd been so focused on proving himself to be knowledgeable and wise that he overlooked the most important aspect of Zen practice: humility and openness. He bowed deeply to Takashi and said, "Thank you, Master, for showing me the true meaning of Zen. I was so blind and foolish to think that I knew everything. Please teach me more and help me to become a true student of Zen." Takashi smiled and nodded. "Of course, Koji. I will guide you on your path to enlightenment. But you must remember this lesson. Always keep your cup empty, your mind and heart open. Let go of attachments and expectations and be present in the here and now. That is the essence of Zen." Koji felt a deep sense of relief, peace, and gratitude. Are you someone who feels you know the answers to everything? Do you miss the points of conversations because you're too busy offering your own opinions, knowledge, or experience? Do you listen simply to respond? Think for a moment of a child sitting in awe as a parent tells them about their life. Children approach learning with an empty cup, willing to listen, learn, and question. Over time, too often we become too self-absorbed to listen, learn, and question. We believe that we need to showcase for others our vast knowledge, skill, and experience. Too often, we believe we know the answers before we have been willing to listen. We let the tea pour onto the floor because we came with a cup full of our own knowledge, experience, or expertise that we see little value in spending time to learn from others. We want to impress others, and that desire limits our abilities, our success, and often our ultimate happiness. I hope that each of us finds the truth from this parable and approach new and even not so new opportunities with our cups empty and willingly sip the tea of knowledge and wisdom from others. The exciting thing is that no matter what your age, your career, or your desire, recognizing that using an empty cup is not only possible, it can be rewarding. I wish you well in your continued journey of learning. Namaste.